Welcome to this recorded video. So in this session or in this recording, we will cover about variables. So in C sharp, it's pretty much close on pretty much closely on how to declare a variable in other programming languages such as Java, C, or C++. So a variable in C sharp must have a data type. Let's say string. Next is the identifier. So identifier basically it's the name of your variable where you can identify it later. Let's say name, and variable can be declared or at the same time initialize. So initialize, that is the default or the starting value of the variable. So first is the data type, next the identifier, and optional. So optional, we have this bracket, the initial value. So the data type and then the identifier is required, while the initialization is optional. But of course, if we're going to use an initialized value, or there's no starting value, then you'll probably get an error. Like for example, let's declare a variable without any value. Then let's just display the variable. Sorry, name. Then you'll see here, name is not null here, or use of unassigned local variable. So it means local because it doesn't belong to any classes or objects. So let's run it. Okay, so the rebuild errors. Would you like to continue to run the last build? So what it means here, if we're going to click yes, then it will give you the last successful build, or the one that works before. So maybe let's click no, so it will stop running. If you're going to click yes, then it will display the previous build that was working before. So to fix this, then at least you must assign a value for your variable. So you can put it in one line like this, or maybe you can separate them in another line. So maybe you're not yet what I call this, you're not yet sure on what's the actual value for your variable. So maybe you can just let it like this, so no initial value yet. Then maybe later on that you will decide to assign a certain value. So either works, but ultimately you must assign a value before using them. So in this case, we display the value of the variable. Another one, maybe let's create a float. So let's say float x. Yeah, we'll just do that. We'll just use the suggested name from the IDE. Let's say 1.2f. So f is basically it represents the float double. double sy, let's use that. 34 point blah 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 d. Yes, it's pretty much safe to add a d on the end of the value to tell that we are assigning a double, and same on for the float. So it's much safer, since if we're going to do this, then it's yeah, so a represent double precision floating number. So the IDE or the compiler is pretty much confused on what type of value you are assigning. So that's why you need to it's a good practice to put a F for float and D for double. So that's the same for decimal. So decimal Z equals to 3.3 D. What was the I think it was M. I forgot. Yes, M. So M. So this tells us that the value that we're assigning is a decimal. So maybe let's try to put it an F here. So it says here that yes, single precision meaning the precise value. So that's what it worries, since you are calculating numbers and numbers are precise. So you must have to be very clear on what value you are assigning. All right. As for the variable names must start with a character and mustn't start with a number, like this. So let's say int 1a equals to 0. Then as you can see here, give us an error like name. Okay, let's hover it. A name A doesn't exist in the current context. And on the other error says represents a 32-bit signed integer. So again, a variable name or identifier should start with a character or underscore. Yeah, you can start with a underscore or character, but never with a number or special character except underscore. So underscore is a special character, but it is an exception if you're going to use it as a starting character for a variable or identifier. Let's try putting a number sign or a sharp. So it gives us an error. So other things like this. Yes, it gave us an error. So exclamation is, I think it's a symbol for inversion, inverting inverting a boolean value. So in this case, what the compiler sees here is we're going to invert the variable underscore a into its current boolean value. So it's giving us an error because inversion only used for booleans, but we are using integer here. So that's probably why the compiler is giving us an error. So maybe let's assign a bool. Let's say true. Oh no, still giving us an error. So I think we are like this. It's safe to say that we do this. There we go. Uh, the inversion was not properly applied or only applied on specific statements. So in these statements, we have a condition here. That's why on this line, the inversion did not work, or it gave us an error because we are in a declaration statement. So there you go. So back to the naming convention. A variable must not start with a special character except underscore. It must not start with a number like this. It should only start with a underscore or a character, and can be followed by numbers like this. But it can never followed with a special character except underscore like this, or that, or this. So I think you get the point. But underscore is the exception. Okay, so that's how uh, variables are declared, and how the naming convention works. So maybe we can assign like a class, let's say class person. Then we can say person p is equals to new person. So it gives an error. Top level statements. Okay, so this error says that um, top level statement must precede namespace and type declaration. Since these are all top level statements, so for us to use this line, we must, it says here, preceded with a namespace and type declaration. So maybe in the next video we will discuss about namespace and classes. But for now, that's basically how we declare a variable. That's how we initialize the value, and that's how we name identifier for a variable. Okay, so thank you for watching. Maybe hopefully I'll see you in the next video.